Before refrigerators existed, before freezers, before any kind of electric cooling, there was a brilliantly simple technique that kept families fed through the darkest, coldest months of winter. It is called earth clamping, and you have probably never heard of it. But here is what makes it truly remarkable. This is not just some primitive method of burying food in the dirt and hoping for the best. An earth clamp actually generates its own heat through controlled decomposition, maintaining a nearly perfect internal climate for storing root vegetables for 5 to 8 months, all without a single watt of electricity. And while you might think this is a relic confined to history books, the Amish still use it today, and a growing movement of homesteaders and organic farmers are bringing it back. You are about to learn a forgotten survival skill that fed entire nations through famines, depressions, and world wars. By the end of this, you will know exactly how to build one yourself. Let us start at the beginning. The basic concept of preserving food by burying it in the ground is ancient. Some of the first people known to have done it were the indigenous peoples of Australia, thousands of years ago. But the practice did not really catch on in Europe until the 17th century, when the first walk-in food storage cellars appeared. These were the ancestors of what you would think of as a root cellar, a dedicated underground room for keeping food cool and dark. But here is the thing. Not everyone had the resources or the space to dig out a full root cellar. If you were a tenant farmer in the 1800s, if you were working a small plot of rented land, you needed something simpler. Something you could build in an afternoon with nothing more than a spade, some straw, and the vegetables you had just harvested. That is where the earth clamp comes in. A storage clamp is essentially a compact mound of harvested produce, layered with straw for insulation, and topped with packed earth to regulate temperature and humidity. You are building a miniature, self-regulating environment right there in your field. No timber, no nails, no construction expertise, just the raw materials the land gives you. And it worked incredibly well. The concept spread across Britain and Europe throughout the 1800s, as earth clamping became one of the most widespread food preservation techniques on the continent. Potatoes, carrots, beets, turnips, parsnips, virtually any root vegetable could be stored this way. And given that the potato had been introduced to Europe from South America back in the late 1500s and had become a dietary staple by the 1700s, the need to store massive quantities of root crops over winter was enormous. Arthur Young, surveying Irish agriculture in 1776, noted the vast scale of potato cultivation. Families were growing far more than they could eat fresh. They needed reliable storage, and for millions of people, the earth clamp was the answer. So, how does it actually work? Let's break down the science, because this is where it gets genuinely fascinating. When you build an earth clamp, you are creating a system that performs 4 critical preservation functions simultaneously. First, it keeps your stored vegetables slightly moist so they do not dry out and shrivel. Second, it keeps out excess water that would cause rot. Third, it blocks all light, which prevents greening and sprouting. Fourth, it maintains a stable temperature range that dramatically slows biological deterioration. The internal environment of a properly built clamp maintains temperatures between 0 and 10 degrees Celsius, that is 32 to 50 degrees Fahrenheit, with relative humidity between 85 and 100%. For potatoes specifically, you are looking at an ideal range of 3 to 6.5 degrees Celsius. For carrots, the range is even tighter, 0 to 2 degrees Celsius. Now here is the part that might blow your mind. The clamp does not just passively insulate against cold, it actively generates warmth. The moist straw layered over the vegetables undergoes a slow, controlled form of decomposition, and that biological process produces just enough heat to keep the interior from freezing even during bitter winters. You are essentially harnessing microbial activity as a heating system. But this is a delicate balance. If your clamp is too small, it will not generate enough warmth and your vegetables will freeze. If it is too large, too much heat builds up and everything rots. The ideal size, roughly 1 meter high with a pyramid-shaped cross-section, hits the sweet spot perfectly. It is a piece of pre-industrial engineering that is honestly more elegant than most people give it credit for. You should also understand the ventilation system, because without it, the whole thing fails. When you build a clamp, leave small tufts of straw poking out at the base about every 2 yards. These act as air inlets. Then, at the ridge along the top, create little straw chimneys every 2 yards. This allows natural airflow to move through the structure, dissipating excess moisture, reducing condensation on the crop surfaces, and preventing the buildup of carbon dioxide from the vegetable's own respiration. Too much carbon dioxide accelerates deterioration. The ventilation prevents that. So you have temperature regulation, humidity control, light exclusion, and gas exchange, all achieved with straw and dirt. No electricity, no moving parts, nothing to break down or malfunction. Let us talk about how you actually build one, because the method is straightforward enough that you could do it this weekend if you had a harvest ready to store. First, you select a site that does not collect or retain water. This is critical. Standing water will destroy your clamp. You want slightly elevated ground with decent drainage. Next, you dig 2 parallel trenches and pile the excavated soil in a line between them. These trenches serve as drainage channels, directing water away from the base of the clamp. The length depends on how much you are storing, usually somewhere around 15 to 20 feet. Before anything goes into the clamp, you prepare your vegetables. You cut off the green tops, since those will rot inside and ruin everything. You inspect every single root for damage or signs of decay. Anything suspect gets set aside for immediate use or discarded. One rotten potato can spread disease through the entire clamp. Now you lay down a base layer of straw, about 15 to 20 centimeters deep, roughly 6 to 8 inches, over a circular or oval area about 1.5 meters wide. You stack your vegetables on this straw bed, placing the largest ones at the bottom for stability. You build the mound up to about 1 meter high, maintaining that pyramidal shape. Once the mound is complete, cover the entire thing with another 15 to 20 centimeters of straw. Then heap about 15 centimeters of soil over that, patting it down firmly with the flat of your spade. Aim for a smooth, compacted surface so rain runs off rather than soaking in. Do not forget those ventilation points. Leave straw poking out at the base every couple of yards and create small straw chimneys along the ridge at the top. That is it. You have just built a structure that will keep your food viable for months. When you need vegetables, access them from one end of the clamp and work your way toward the other end. This maintains the optimal cross-section for the remaining portion and keeps those vegetables in the best possible condition. Access from one end preserves the clamp's internal climate. You might be wondering if this is really all that effective compared to modern methods. The answer might surprise you. In organic farming systems, clamps store root crops like potatoes and turnips with losses as low as 10% when properly ventilated. That is remarkably competitive, especially when you consider that there is zero energy cost involved. The technique saw its greatest modern revival during the most desperate times. During the Great Depression, in the 1930s, families who could not afford much could still preserve their harvest with an earth clamp. The Farm Security Office and the Office of War Information actively encouraged root cellars and clamping as a means of preventing food waste during shortages. Then came World War II, and clamping became a matter of national survival. With rationing in full force and every scrap of land pressed into food production, vegetable clamping was practiced on a massive scale across Britain. Here is a detail you probably will not find in standard history books. Enemy prisoners of war held in Britain were put to work building these ancient food storage systems across the countryside. Root crops that were not quite fit for human consumption when the clamp was opened could be fed to cows or pigs, so nothing went to waste. Keep in mind, refrigerators did not become commonplace in British households until the 1950s. Freezers came even later. And even when they did arrive, they could not hold a year's supply of potatoes, carrots, parsnips, and beetroot. The clamp filled a storage role that no domestic appliance could match for sheer volume. John Seymour understood this better than almost anyone. Regarded as the founding father of the self-sufficiency movement, Seymour spent his life championing sustainable, compassionate living. He wrote over 40 books and broadcast widely on television and radio. His 1976 publication, The Complete Book of Self-Sufficiency, became one of the most popular practical manuals ever written on the subject. His farm in Wales, and later in Ireland, welcomed visitors seeking guidance on a more self-supporting life. In a 1973 piece for Mother Earth News, Seymour and his wife Sally wrote that most roots do not like frost, and the clamp protects them from it. They said that if you have a good dry root cellar or a really frost-proof outbuilding, you might use those instead because it is less work than clamping. He acknowledged the trade-offs honestly. A root cellar is less work once it is built, but a root cellar requires significant construction. It also has a disadvantage that the clamp does not share. After a year or two of use, a root cellar can build up spores that attack stored roots. A clamp, built fresh each season from clean materials, does not have that problem. There is also an interesting strategic consideration. If disease gets into a single large root cellar, you can lose everything. With clamps, you can spread your risk by building several smaller ones across your property. There is a balance to be found between the thermal buffering of one large clamp and the reduced risk of catastrophic loss that numerous smaller clamps provide. By the mid-20th century, industrialized agriculture began phasing out clamps in favor of purpose-built storage facilities. By 1955, over 1,160 barn storage facilities with a combined capacity of 244,000 tons had replaced traditional clamps in many regions, enabling controlled environments and year-round storage. By the 1980s, with bulk silos and refrigerated units reducing labor demands and cutting losses to under 5%, clamps became largely obsolete in industrialized nations. But here is where the story gets interesting again. You are living in a moment when earth clamping is making a comeback. Since the early 2000s, storage clamps have experienced a niche revival in organic and sustainable farming, valued for their low energy requirements and minimal infrastructure needs. These traditional methods align with zero-input storage goals, using natural insulation to maintain crop viability without electricity. For eco-focused operations, trying to reduce post-harvest carbon emissions, it is an incredibly attractive approach. The broader homesteading movement has gained significant momentum as well. With growing environmental concerns and rising food costs, more people are turning to self-sufficiency. The abundance of available resources, from online guides to community workshops, has made it easier than ever to get started. And clamping sits right at the heart of that movement, representing a skill that costs nothing, requires no specialized equipment, and connects you directly to a tradition stretching back centuries. Some modern practitioners have adapted the technique slightly. You will find people using old coolers or clean trash cans as liners inside their clamps, though coolers generally are not deep enough to avoid frost in truly cold climates. Others have refined ventilation designs, addressing the issues that plagued traditional unventilated clamps, namely moisture accumulation, uneven airflow, and the resulting rot. Maintenance is straightforward, but essential. You need to inspect your clamp regularly, checking for heat spots, which are localized temperature rises above 4 degrees Celsius that signal potential rot. You are also watching for visible mold growth or entry points for pests like rodents and slugs. A well-maintained clamp is a reliable clamp. A neglected one becomes a composting experiment you did not sign up for. Earth clamping represents something remarkable. It is a technology that requires no power grid, no supply chain, no replacement parts. It works with the natural processes of decomposition and insulation rather than fighting against them. It kept families alive through the worst winters the Little Ice Age could throw at them. It helped nations survive wartime rationing, and it is still perfectly functional today. In an age where you are increasingly aware of food system fragility, where supply chain disruptions and energy costs are front-page concerns, there is something deeply reassuring about knowing that a spade, some straw, and a pile of potatoes can get you through the winter. Your great-great-grandparents knew this. The Amish still know it. And now, you know it too. The ground beneath your feet is not just dirt. It is the oldest refrigerator in the world. And it has been waiting for you to remember how to use it.